Voters in Guyana headed for the polls this Monday as the country holds its general elections. Demonstrators returned to the streets of Chile for Super Monday protest against the government of Sebastián Piñera. Thousands of migrants have gathered at Turkey's western border in an attempt to enter Greece. Hi from the headquarters of Telesur English in Havana, Cuba. This is From the South. I'm Cristina Escobar. And we begin in Guyana, where general elections kicked off early this Monday. More than 600,000 Guyanese are heading to the polls today in what many have described as a crucial vote for the country. A new National Assembly will be elected for a 5-year term, and the leader of the coalition or party with the largest majority will become the country's president. Polls suggest that the race is between the ruling A Partnership for National Unity plus Alliance for Change coalition and the other party, the People's Progressive Party Civic. The elections are being monitored by a number of local, regional and international observers, including from CARICOM, the US-based Carter Center, the Organization of American States and the European Union. Members of Guyana's National Assembly are elected using a closed-list proportional representation system. The successful candidates will fill 65 seats in the Assembly. A total of 11 parties are standing in these 2020 general and regional elections. The Election Commission published the rules governing the voting process, while the country hopes to see an orderly and peaceful election day. Voters in Guyana go to the polls amid political tension between the two leading parties. The current president, David Granger, lost a vote of no confidence in 2018 due to accusations that he favored ExxonMobil in negotiations on recently discovered oil reserves. Alejandro Kirk, our special correspondent in Guyana, has the details of what's going on, and we're going to make a contact live with him now. Alejandro, hello.
Hello. Yes, sorry, greetings from Georgetown, Cristina. The election day has been rather quiet, calm, without any big surprises, and we are now expecting the polls to close at 6 p.m. To start seeing what the results will be. Probably we will not have any concrete numbers tonight, but the situation remains tense in the sense that the results are going to be very close. There is no doubt about it. But there are many issues at stake in this election, and one of them is what is at stake for women in this contest that faces two big forces in Guyanese politics. And for that we have a special guest here this afternoon. Her name is Sharon Lalji Richard. She is an entrepreneur, and she is also a civil society activist. Sharon, thanks very much for being with Telesur.
It's a pleasure to be here.
The question was already put before. What is at stake for women in this election?
Oh, well, I do believe that women issues continue to stay at the forefront of what is important to Guyana, primarily issues relating to domestic violence in particular is one where I believe there needs to be lots of intervention. Currently in Parliament, 1/3 of our Parliament are made up of women, and it is my opinion that perhaps we need to increase that gap to perhaps 50%. In terms of the election campaign messages, there were a few of the bigger parties that placed a higher sort of like a higher priority on women issues. That was good to see. On the ground, however, it tends to be a little different. I was referring to domestic violence in particular, and we still have failed institutions when it comes to proper legal representation for women within the facet of the police and all of that. There still is a lack of sensitivity to issues when women are going in for abuse situations and so forth. But what I will say, we might have a new government after today, I can't be sure, but I will say in defense of the current government is that we have had good intervention coming out of the Ministry of Social Protection itself. They have quite a comprehensive program there where if you are abused as a woman and for whatever reason you are unable to receive a restraining order and so forth, they will offer shelter, they will coordinate with the police and the courts and so forth so that you can be offered some amount of relief. And there's also an opportunity for you to work if you have a special skill, and if you have children, it's a matter of you getting your children. So it is very comprehensive, and I'm pleased about that.
And but is there any difference in this respect? Because what we have seen is that the scenario is pretty much male-dominated, and you know, the speeches, the people who are speaking on behalf of the party, on behalf of the movements, they're always male. Is there a difference between the two main parties, or your struggle is about, you know, the entire society rather than linked to one or the other?
Well, within the political system, even though this is not always discussed openly, because within political parties, they will have protocols with what can be bad PR and good PR. They do have, and they do their very best to make sure that there is strong female representation. But like I said, in my opinion, it can be improved. There is not much of, I don't have enough data to give a comparison between political parties to say, well, I believe this party or the other is a lot more in favor of women when it comes to, you know, going beyond political promises, but to actually value women and so forth. But what I will say is that from the level of the society itself, there's an interesting dynamic. When it comes to the school system, girls stay in school more than boys. As you progress higher, you see that there are more male dropouts. At the university level, there is also twice as much enrollment by women, and graduate rates are a lot higher. However, within the work environment, based on the last report that came out of the World Bank, I think it was the 2017 report, it showed that Guyana only benefited from, I think it was 53% or of women working as opposed to 80% of men working. So it's an interesting dynamic where it shows that even though you have higher graduates and so forth academically from women, it is not reflected in the workforce. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Domestic violence, again, because a lot of men, they suppress women from working. And that is an issue. You also have scenarios where women are not getting equal pay. Women are often in Guyana overworked, underpaid, and they do have a higher tendency of being sexually abused in the workplace. So all of these are scenarios that are of great concern to women in Guyana, especially women like myself within the civil society sector. And these are the issues that we're hoping that government will make a priority.
Very briefly, because the time is short, women are not here just to talk about women's issues, but also there is this oil boom coming up. What are the prospects for the country in your view, the dangers, the benefits, and you know the temptation of all political forces to grab that opportunity to stay in power forever?
Well, we do have some specific issues here in Guyana where we do need constitutional reform. I believe that Guyana can easily fall into the oil curse if we do not achieve constitutional reform, if our institutions are not strengthened, and if the ethnic divide is not addressed and some intervention is made. These are important because with the ethnic divide, it empowers governments to continue playing one group against the other. With the absence of constitutional reform, you don't have enough of a structure in order to hold leaders accountable, so it is quite a scenario where you have broken scenarios where the systems do not work. Like you would imagine that if a politician is less than honorable, that he would be held to account. But when the institutions are not strengthened, the politics control the institutions. So I say all of that to say that if these are not fixed, Guyana will end up suffering from a very unfortunate situation despite all of the positives that oil will bring.
Thank you very much. So thank you, Sharon, for sharing this thoughts with us. This is what we have for now. Havana, over to you, Christina.
Thank you so much, Alejandro, for this contact. I'm sure we're going to hear more from you during the day. That was Alejandro Kirga, a special correspondent in Georgetown, who's bringing us the latest on what's going on in the general elections that are going on in that country. And coming up, Chile has seen Super Monday protests against Sebastián Piñera's government. Don't go away. Hi, welcome back. As Chileans return to work after holidays this Monday, the capital saw barricades and protests in several locations. Social and student organizations are holding what they have dubbed a Super Monday of protests. Thousands of Chileans took to the streets of the cities of Antofagasta, La Serena, Concepción, Valparaíso, and Santiago. The demonstrators are calling on President Sebastián Piñera to meet their demands regarding healthcare, housing, as well as the need for a new constitution that reflects the will of the Chilean people. Mobilizations are scheduled during the entire month of March, including the participation of feminist movements. Heavy rains has triggered flooding and landslide in the state of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, causing widespread damage and at least 4 deaths over the weekend. The severe weather has caused extensive damages, particularly in western areas of the Rio de Janeiro metropolitan region. Dozens of roads have been flooded, cars swept away, and housing damaged. The fire department has confirmed at least 3 deaths, while the civil defense reported a 4th fatality in the Acori neighborhood. Southeastern Brazil has seen a series of floods throughout January and February in the state of Espírito Santo, Minas Gerais, and São Paulo. Meanwhile, Belo Horizonte saw its wettest February in 16 years. The president of Haiti, Jovenel Moïse, appointed Youté Youssef as the new prime minister of the Caribbean nation on Monday. The move is an attempt to calm the political crisis the country has been experiencing during the last year. Moïse asked the new prime minister to create, as soon as possible, a government of openness and consensus capable of responding to emergencies. Youté Youssef had been serving as Minister of the Economy and Environment. His designation is yet to be approved by the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate. However, both legislative bodies are currently closed due to institutional unrest sparked by the impossibility of holding elections. Haiti has seen socio-political instability since 2018 due to serious economic issues and allegations of corruption against President Moïse. Five new cases of coronavirus have been detected in Ecuador, bringing the total number in the country to 6. Health Minister Catalina Andramuño reported on Sunday that all those who have been affected are part of the same family.
The primary family nucleus, that is to say the one closest to the index case, to the primary case, to the positive lady, there have been 5 positive cases for COVID-19, which are found to be mildly symptomatic. We are monitoring them, we are controlling them. We continue to monitor and constantly supervise the 177 contacts with patient zero. Once again, to reiterate to the citizens that the most important thing is the issue of prevention, to reinforce the measures of sanitary hygiene.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced that the EU's Centre for Disease Prevention and Control said that the level of risk of contracting coronavirus within Europe is moderate to high. EU Health Commissioner Stella Kyriakides said on Monday that 2,100 cases have been confirmed in 18 EU member states, while 38 citizens have lost their lives. The Commissioner recalled that different member states face distinct challenges in relation to the COVID-19 outbreak, while she highlighted the situation in Italy, where almost 1,700 people have tested positive. Chinese President Xi Jinping has visited several medical research facilities at the forefront of the fight against the COVID-19 outbreak. Speaking during the visit, Xi said his government stands ready to provide all the material and financial support that the medical and research community requires to carry out its work. He added that significant steps have been made towards the development of safe, effective vaccines, medicines, and test kits. She stressed that science and technology are critical in increasing treatment cure rates and reducing infection and mortality rates. And the number of cases of the novel coronavirus in China continues to decline, according to the World Health Organization. The WHO noted an encouraging trend on Monday, indicating that the spread of the virus is under control. The Asian giant reported just 8 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 outside the epicenter of Hubei province on Sunday. However, almost 9 times more cases are being reported outside of China, according to WHO Director Tedros Ghebreyesus. Around 8,700 cases of COVID-19 have been reported outside China in 61 countries, including 127 deaths. A World Health Organization experts mission arrived in Iran on Monday to identify COVID-19 transmission dynamics and at-risk populations. Experts aim to build on the COVID-19 preparedness and response work already on the way by the WHO's country's office in the Islamic Republic of Iran, as well as provide guidance on strengthening and scaling up the efforts. The mission arrived alongside with a shipment containing medical supplies and protective equipment to support over 15,000 healthcare workers and enough laboratory kits to test and diagnose nearly 100,000 people. And we're taking one last break, but stay with us for more. Hi, welcome back. Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar has just announced that she's abandoning her candidacy for the Democratic presidential nomination in the United States. Klobuchar has not won any of the previous primaries or caucuses and fell to 6th place in South Carolina's primary on Saturday. Klobuchar announced that she will endorse former Vice President Joe Biden. Having portrayed herself as a moderate candidate, Klobuchar now follows the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg, who also called off his campaign on Sunday. The remaining candidates face the biggest challenge tomorrow on what is known as Super Tuesday, when 14 states vote to decide who should be the Democratic candidate to run against current President Donald Trump.
He hasn't yet really addressed the nation on this topic. I would do all of that.
Thousands of migrants and refugees gathered at Turkey's western border on Monday morning, trying to enter Greece by land or sea after Turkey declared its border were open to migrants hoping to enter the European Union. A young boy died when a makeshift boat packed with dozens of migrants capsized off the coast of Lesbos, the Greek Coast Guard reported. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said the country had opened the doors to Europe in a bid to pressure the EU over the conflict in Syria and its humanitarian consequences. The United Nations reported at least 13,000 people had gathered on Turkey's land border, the vast majority apparently from Afghanistan. Russian President Vladimir Putin will meet his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan during one visit to Russia on Thursday. The visit comes at a moment of heightened tensions between Ankara and Moscow over the escalation of clashes with Syrian government forces in northwestern Idlib province. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said the situation in Idlib would become clearer after the meeting between the two leaders, adding that the Russians and Turkish armies have maintained close contacts. Peskov said Russia's position during the upcoming talks will be absolutely consistent and unchanged from what was stated at various levels by both President Putin and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, as well as an interdepartmental delegation that has worked with Turkish colleagues in recent days. Israeli voters have gone to the polls for the third time in 12 months, seeking to end a period of political deadlock. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party and Benny Gantz's blue and white political alliance are both expected to fall well short of the 61 seats needed for a majority in the Israeli parliament. They will have to strike deals with smaller parties to form a coalition government, something they failed to achieve after inconclusive elections in April and September 2019.
We don't deserve another awful election round that is deteriorating to become grubby. We must not see again an election campaign like the one that is ending today. We don't deserve this never-ending instability again. We Israeli citizens deserve a government that will work for all of us.
Iraq's Prime Minister-designate Mohammed Alawi withdrew his candidacy on Sunday, just 1 month after being appointed by President Barham Salih. Alawi's move came just hours after legislators failed for the second time this week to approve his cabinet of independence amid political infighting. Iraq has seen months of anti-establishment protests that forced the resignation of Prime Minister Abdul Mahdi. President Barham Salih will begin consultations to select a new candidate for Prime Minister within 15 days. And turning to Africa now, interim President of Guinea-Bissau, Cipriano Kasama, has resigned after allegedly receiving death threats less than 2 days after being appointed. Umaro Sissoko Embalo and Domingos Simões Pereira, two rival contenders for the presidency, have been battling to assume power since the December 29th second-round election. Last Thursday, Embalo conducted his own presidential swearing-in ceremony without waiting for a final ruling from the Supreme Court regarding the revision of the vote tally sheets. The ruling PAIGC party of Pereira decided on Friday to appoint Kasama interim president based on its parliamentary majority. 51 people, including women and newborns, have been killed in multiple attacks by armed gunmen in Nigeria's Kaduna state. According to local media reports, more than 100 armed men stormed 3 villages at dawn on Sunday, shooting sporadically and burning down homes and vehicles. A security official said the attack is believed to be an act of revenge against residents for allegedly providing support to the military during recent operations against armed groups. And we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Cristina Escobar. Thank you for watching.